So now we have our basic flip book. It's time to get decorating. So I'm going to do what I did on this one, which is matte all my panels with some sort of coordinating color. In this album here, I used black, but I thought for this one, it might be kind of fun to use a different color. And so I'm going to use garden green cardstock from Stampin' Up. It's a great way for me to use up some of the supplies. So my album is 6 by 6, which means each panel is 6 by 6, and I want to leave a little bit of a white border. So I'm going to trim out 10 5 7/8 by 5 7/8 panels. So I will need 2.5 sheets in order to get all of those. So that's going to be my next step, is to trim those all out. Okay, so I have 10 5 7/8 square panels. Let's move on to the next item. From the remaining half sheet of 12 by 12, cut 2 6 by 6 squares if you're going to be using this slot die, and cut this out twice. This is what the panels look like, all trimmed out. Obviously, if you don't have this die, you can do something similar. You know, just cut 3 strips of paper that you can, at different lengths, so that you can create 3 pockets basically. But the die is super cute, and it does do this really cute stitching along the edge. So we have 2 of those. Don't put the die away yet, because we will need this piece later to help decorate the pockets. Okay, so next we're going to trim out the bases that will form the pockets, and I'm going to do 4 panels with pockets. And the measurements for this is going to be 3.5 inches by 6 7/8. Now I pulled out some 8.5 by 11 cardstock because I have some cardstock, I don't know if you could see, where it's got some discoloration. So I know I'm not going to have enough and that this will be discarded, but seeing as it is discolored, I'm okay with that. So the first thing I'm going to do is just trim this to 6 7/8. And then before we cut any further, we're going to do some scoring. So for this one, I only need 1 panel. And so what we're going to do is we're going to cut this at 3.5 and then flip it at 6 7/8. Just like so. Let's pull out the scoreboard, take the big piece. We are going to score long ways at 1/2 inch, flip it, and score at 1/2 inch. We're going to take the piece that's cut to size, do 1/2 inch, flip that, 1/2 inch, and while it is in here, we're going to flip it to one side and score at 1/2 inch again. Okay, so you've got 3 score lines. This is our end results. 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and 1/2 inch. In the meantime, we're just going to trim these to 3.5 inches. We should be able to get 3 out of this sheet. Pull back the scoreboard, and now we're just going to score along 1/2 inch on one side. And we should end up with 4 panels, and I will show you what we're going to do next. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to trim out this square. So you can do one of 2 ways. You can trim the square out and then at a 45-degree angle, or what I'm going to do just to make things faster is I'm going to cut to the point one way and cut to the point the other way, and then just tear it out. Okay, so the square is here, and I'm just going to go from this point 45 degrees out and 45 degrees out, and I'm ending up with a piece like this. If that's too confusing, or if you don't quite understand what I'm saying, you can go cut in, cut the square out. Okay, so this is where all the intersecting scoring lines meet. Cut that square out, and then cut at an angle to the point and an angle to the point, and do that on all the sides. When you're done, you're going to fold these in. Make sure you use a nice scoring tool or bone folder or something to give a nice crisp edge. And all of these edges are going to fold in the same direction. So just like so. Okay. Okay, so now we want to take those pockets that we just created, and we are going to affix these to 4 of the panels that we cut earlier. So these are the 5 7/8 square panels. If you want to do a notch, you definitely could do that now. I'm opting not to, but if you did, you would want to do it at this point. It'll be easier than later on. You want to affix adhesive on the inside folds. That's right, on the inside. So however you scored these, you want the adhesive to go on the inside. If you want to use liquid glue, you can. I'm using double-sided tape because I'm kind of assembly lining this, and it's just easier, I think, to do it all in one shot. But once you have the backing off, you're going to take one of your panels, and because it's square, it doesn't really matter. And you're going to tuck that in and kind of line it up with the folds, right? So make sure it's nice and tucked in there. And we're going to just adhere the bottom, and then the side, and then the side, just like so. And so what we end up on the front is a nice clean tuck pocket, just like that. So we're going to do all 4 of these exactly the same way. Okay, now comes the fun part where we get to plan out the pattern paper and where it is all going. In this collection, there is this border paper with different different scenes, and if you look at the width that I chose for the pocket, it is pretty much bang on for the width of each of these panels or borders, and I just happen to have 4, and there's 4 panels. I'm going to use this to decorate the pockets of the panel. So I'm going to put that aside. There are 2 of these cut apart sheets. I am probably going to use every image on here in some capacity. I haven't quite decided how, but as a result, I am going to trim these down into individual components. So 4 by 6 cards, and then these are all different sizes. So whatever size they are, I will be trimming them down. This also has the look of a cut apart sheet. It's got some old vintage decoration boxes on it. I don't know if I will need to use this or not. So I'm just going to put this one aside and hold it in reserve. A piece like this is going to be very hard to fit into my book just because of the nature of it. So I will probably end up using the stripe. This one would be a great background paper, as with this. So will this one. Really pretty. Another ornament sheet. Stripes. The numbers I probably will not use. Again, it's not kind of the direction I'm going in this year, but the stripe is definitely usable. We've got some words and some really pretty snowflakes. And then we have all these little squares, which are super cute. And then the red on the back. I will probably cut this up into panels just because I think I might need the paper, but I might hold this one in reserve too in case I want to use these as embellishments. And this would be another great background piece. If I can somehow trim this out to fit on a panel, I might do that. So he's not 6 inches wide, he's definitely 6 inches too long, but 6 inches would cut down about here, and I think that would be kind of cute. What do you think? So I might play around with having him trimmed out properly. He might even be a great one for the cover. So this is going to be a strategic cutting if I cut into this. I also had these other papers in my stash. So I do have a couple sheets of this from Close to My Heart and a couple of these poinsettia ones. This Merry Christmas. And then again, this one, which I'm not sure I would use or not. So I've got a few places to play with. So what I think I'm going to do now is just kind of figure out which ones I want to use where. And then I will come back